afternoon and welcome to the Midday News for Thursday, January 15. I'm Carrie Simpson. A special welcome to our viewers on YouTube, TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. Here's what we have in the bulletin.
3 arrested in vehicle theft crackdown. Manchester police reassure residents after recent murders. And later in sports, young Windies get win in opening Youth World Cup match.
Now the details. 3 persons, including a 21-year-old mechanic, have been arrested in a series of police raids in St. Catherine. Speaking with our news centre, commanding officer for the St. Catherine North Police Division, Senior Superintendent Hopton Nicholson, says the operations are part of efforts to clamp down on persons who are part of a vehicle stealing ring.
For the past 24 hours, 3 scrapped Toyota Voxy motor car were recovered by operatives, and a number of parts that are believed to be stolen. We believe that there are at least 2 other persons who have been colluding with this 21-year-old mechanic in stealing these motor cars in St. Catherine and other parishes and taking them to the Lindsay area to be scrapped and to be sold.
SSP Nicholson is reminding the public that the police will increase their presence across all communities to safeguard both lives and property.
If you intend to commit crimes, do not come into St. Catherine North, because you will be caught and you will be arrested and taken before the court. So we'll be very vigilant, and we urge citizens to report any and every suspicious activities. We will intervene, we will investigate, and we will do the necessaries.
Senior members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, along with representatives from several agencies and the political directorate, took to the streets of sections of Manchester on Tuesday as they sought to calm tensions and reassure residents following a series of, or rather, recent spike in violence. Kirk Wright has the details in this report.
Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Kerry Duncan, accompanied by senior officers, led a walkthrough of the Cedar Grove and surrounding communities, engaging residents and listening to their concerns. The initiative follows a recent flare-up of violence. Among the issues, the ongoing curfew.
People have to go work, and then people come in, like sometimes to have a drink at the bar. The bar then closes by 6. So by 6 o'clock, everybody have to be inside because of the curfew.
And the bars are a big part of your business.
Yes.
You have to face this part. You see, the
It's
police
a very
don't
big
patrol
part.
more time on a regular basis to let people know.
So the bar being closed at 6.
You know?
We want to ensure that we give the permits for parties in the spaces. However, I'll say to you that if crime and violence is reaping its ugly and raising its ugly head in the space, then we can't allow for business as usual.
Other stakeholders like Council for the Knockpatch Division, Carl Smith, and President of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, Omar Fennell, stressed the importance of maintaining lower murder rates going into 2026.
The importance of business in the community cannot be understated. You have your little shop here, you have your shop there, you have persons who want to venture out into the town. What I want us to look at again is maintaining the peace.
Nobody benefits from a curfew. The North Patrick space, we have mostly bars, shops, restaurants. All of you are affected. I am committed tonight to tell the police that we are willing to work with you for us to be in a safer space.
Looking ahead, the authorities say community cooperation will remain critical as the security operations continue. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
The Ministry of Education says despite changes to the Grade 6 Primary Exit Profile PEP exams, the mechanisms used to place students will remain the same. Speaking at yesterday's post-cabinet press briefing, Acting Chief Education Officer Terry Thomas Gale provided details on the adjustments, starting with the ability test.
they will get 40 multiple choice items. They will also sit mathematics curriculum-based test, and within that curriculum-based test, there are at least 20 multiple choice items that will measure numeracy. The grade 6 mathematics test is based on the grade 6 curriculum. The grade 6 language arts, the grade 6 curriculum-based tests for language arts, they will also have some literacy components. So both the CBT, the curriculum-based test for mathematics and language arts, they both have 60 multiple choice.
She says there will also be changes to the grades 4 and 5 assessments.
At grade 5, our students will only do performance tasks in language arts and mathematics. The performance tasks will see the students doing responding to 4 to 6 open-ended questions. I just want to remind the public that the primary exit profile at the different grade level is based on the curriculum at the grade level. Our grade 4 students will only do the grade 4 literacy and numeracy test.
Farmers and former Vice President of the Jamaica Agricultural Society JAS Clarendon branch are voicing their displeasure over how the late President Lensworth Fulton was treated during his tenure. Former Vice President Denton Alvarenga suggested this was partly due to his political affiliation. Mr. Alvarenga was speaking at an evening of tribute recently.
I believe that, no, if a man have the requisite acumen and the man is delivering on his mandate, right? The political party for which he voted on election day should not matter.
Fulton, a former CEO of RADA, was entangled in a legal battle after the termination of the JAS board. Now his colleagues expressed disappointment with how the matter was handled.
The vote is secret. To penalize a man because of how he voted by removing him is an illegal act. It is an illegal act. Right? It is a breach of the law.
A section of the Mapen Bridge in Clarendon has been declared a hazard area following a recent site visit. Mayor of Mapen, Joel Williams, says the bridge now poses a serious risk to pedestrians. Speaking at the latest Clarendon Municipal Corporation meeting, Mr. Williams urged the public to exercise caution until repairs are completed.
The necessary assessment have now been completed, and as an immediate safety measure, the plan are in place to block off one of the pedestrian walkways that pose serious risk to our foot commuting residents. While we continue to push the NWA for the commencement of repair works, we are also ensuring that residents are fully informed of the hazard. Public safety remain non-negotiable.
Calls answered. Residents in Sigree Street in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland are breathing a sigh of relief after the main road, which was blocked since the passage of Hurricane Melissa, has finally been cleared. Kimberly Petty has the details in this TVJ News follow-up.
This was Sigree Street a few weeks ago. Due to the poor state of the road, the community is still without electricity.
It was a street formerly, but then now it becomes something totally different. We have our own ecosystem coming out of this.
Fast forward to Wednesday, January 14, this backhoe was spotted clearing down utility poles and other debris. And the residents are overjoyed.
Very welcome to see this, man. This very nice. Yeah, man. Years to stay, so thank you. Miss Chin?
We're getting there. Yes. We're getting there.
Thanks.
And he's not the only one that's grateful.
I feel so pleased. Feel so pleased, that no. Because we see evidence says something a go on. Light post come out of the road and them a try to clear up the road and so. Since car all pass us already.
The residents lauded Councillor for the South Division, Julian Chang, for the cleanup. However, Ms. Chang says this is just the beginning.
In recent times, this street right here has made the news, Sigree Street. And I am happy to tell you this afternoon that we have started some work. I spoke with the mayor and we have started, some work here in terms of cleaning up. One of the first things that we tackled was the light poles because they were all in the road. So we have managed to take them out, to cut off the wires, and we just had some equipment here earlier cleaning and clearing the area.
She told us what's next for that stretch of road.
We are going to now be going over to the drainage side to see if we can burst the drain and open it up so we can take the water off the road, and then we can start with some marl and all of that. I'm happy because this is the best it has been, and see there, look good still. It's still not even space to walk, but at least it's an improvement.
Kimberly Petty for TVJ News.
It's time for a break here on the Midday News, but stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
NCB Financial Group has underwritten $15.1 billion Jamaican dollars in senior secured financing to support Jamaica Broilers Group as it moves to strengthen its local operations while restructuring its overseas business. NCB says the financing package is designed to give Jamaica Broilers the stability and time needed to execute a recovery strategy following the identification of accounting and operational challenges within its U.S. segment. Those issues affected cash flows and profitability, but the group's Jamaican operations have remained profitable. The financing includes $6.4 billion Jamaican dollars in loans from National Commercial Bank Jamaica, along with $8.7 billion Jamaican dollars in multi-tranche bonds arranged by NCB Capital Markets with maturities of up to 14 years. Further afield, no longer will AI chatbot Grok edit photos of people in revealing clothing on the X platform. That was confirmed Wednesday by the company. The move follows the uproar over Grok allowing users to digitally undress people, including children in some cases. X, in a statement on its safety team account, wrote that measures are now in place to prevent Grok from editing such images. This will apply to all users, including paid subscribers. Grok and social media platform X are both owned by XAI. The company previously announced it was restricting Grok image generation to premium paying subscribers of X. With the Business Minute, I'm Kimberly Petty.
Thank you, Kimberly. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, the International Organization for Migration says more than 6,000 Haitians have been displaced since January 6th as violence continues in Port-au-Prince. The United Nations warns the unrest is disrupting humanitarian services, with Doctors Without Borders suspending medical operations in parts of the capital. And on the international scene, the United States has completed its first sale of Venezuelan oil, valued at about $500 million, a U.S. official said Wednesday. More sales are expected in the coming days and weeks. Now the move follows the U.S. military operation earlier this month that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and opened the door to tapping the country's vast oil reserves. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Aliyah Bryant.
Thank you, Aliyah. We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your Midday Sports Report.